Hello, this is Bread Boy, and today I'm going to be going over bhoylegend's replay. Um, some advice that he wanted was on decision making, when to be more or less aggressive, and general advice on errors he made this game. And this is in the 1v1s playlist. So let's start it and have a look. So here, try not to look away from your enemy and follow the lines on the ground to find your boost. This will help you to be more aware of the play. So following this line here will really help you just find the boost without looking for it, and turning your ball cam off the ball there. And then also at 14 seconds in here, um, ideally you should have kept moving forward instead of flipping early like that. It blocks a bit more of the goal. Even though the shot was off, that would have been the ideal thing to do in this situation. And then also, if I go back a little bit, you probably should have cut in a little bit more towards the enemy here. Like, if I show you, keep your ball, or keep your car turning a bit more, and you want to try to cut your enemy off as soon as possible there. Try to close the gap in that way. So one thing I really like about this shot here is you did a good job of being patient. One thing I think you could have done a bit differently is to make the goal a bit less close, by hitting the ball more square with your car so that the ball would go straight instead of to um, the right as much as it did there. And since you'd be flipping forward, the shot would also be much more powerful as well. So when doing kickoffs, it's really important to watch where the enemy is going. Here you were on the left side of the ball while the enemy went for the ball straight on. And this caused the ball to go to the enemy's left. And that's because in a kickoff, the ball is going to take the path of least resistance. So keep this in mind when you're going for kickoffs. So I'll kind of show this in slow motion here. So see how far on the left of the ball your car is here? And then your enemy is in position to you. He's a bit more to your right. So that causes the ball to just go straight back behind you to your right. So just try to keep that in mind when going for kickoffs, like the way to position your car. So I'll slow it down again here. Whoops. So kind of coming back to what I was saying earlier, with this slow down to 5% here. When you're flipping here, notice that you're flipping slightly to the left at the end here. Coming back to what I mentioned before, the ball is just going to take the path of least resistance. So just try to keep that in mind. Let me see if I can pull up a diagram here. So with the ball in the middle here, say your car is just like right here. Let me pick a different color to make this more obvious. Say your car is, a bit more to the side here, and then your enemy's coming at it straight on like they did here. Just the ball being pushed this way is just going to cause it to pinch out that way. So that's why it's really important for you to notice where your enemy is going in their kickoffs, because it'll really help you in these spots not to have it just pinch onto your half and them having an easy goal. So I'm not sure if you've practiced this yet, but going up the wall in this situation can really help you. It's especially true if the opponent isn't at the level where they feel comfortable with their wall play yet. So if you drive up the wall, you can get there faster than your opponent if he tries to jump. So try to get up the wall and flip either forward or to the right to clear it. This will give you a much easier time getting the ball out of your half. Also right here, ideally, you want to use the corner of your car to hit the ball on its corner as soon as possible in this spot. So you want to try to go for probably this spot right here, and you want to use this corner of your car. And then you want to just try to get probably a diagonal flip or a horizontal flip to get it going just in this general direction here. So trying to probably coming at the ball a bit more to the side here would have helped with that. But generally this, I believe the shot was pretty close anyways, but just something to keep in mind. Oh no, he hit it in this situation. Yeah, it's important to be really fast to that. So as soon as you find yourself in this kind of position here, it's a really dangerous thing. Rather than wait and challenge the ball like you did here, instead opt to just go back to your corner boost and make a plan from there. Being sideways with your opponent right there just invites them to attack. However, so since the opponent was slow on the wall here, you had the ability to get the ball out of his control and you're able to score. So good job here. So jumping and flipping diagonal into the right would have been your closest bet in this spot right here. Um, it would have put you closer to being able to block the enemies clear. If you jumped probably right here and just try to aim your car to, block this much general area as you could, it would have either probably taken it to the side here if you hit it, or if even if you just got a piece of it, it probably still would have went to your corner, and it would have been more under your control. So as soon as you see the enemy cutting a bit to his right like this, it's going to indicate that he's going to take the ball up the wall. So here you probably should have just immediately turned up the wall by going up, this way. But more on your side. I can't really show this since it's the wall is invisible here, but you want to try to go up the wall and kind of shadow his movements so that you can try to take the ball from him. So right here, it's you have to be either faster than your opponent by jumping as soon as he jumps, or you have to, see that he's trying to set up a play to pop the ball and try to get into a better defensive position um, and heading back to goal. So good job taking your time here. Your opponent gave you a lot of space and you tried to use it to your advantage. So here I would say, would you have, it would have been better had you taken the ball a little further to the right, as when you cut it to the left, the ball would have been more centered on the goal and not as far to the left as it was in this situation. So here it's important for you to not turn around like this when you did. Try to keep your back to your opponent and copy his movements. This is called shadowing. This will keep you in a good blocking position while he's going on the attack. So in this spot, your only issue is that you jumped a little later than you should have here. Being a bit more earlier and higher would have helped you to clear that ball there. So here, your car shouldn't be at this angle here, as it makes things really awkward if the ball goes up the wall like it did do here. Also, had you flipped one more time after the kickoff, so you flipped here once, and then had you flipped again there, it would have made you been able to get to the wall much sooner than your opponent, and you would have been a bit more ready for this this hit to the wall there. So try to wait a bit more when you're jumping here. If you jump a bit later, the ball will 50-50 more in your favor, since there's going to be more power behind it. Just jumping late like that and with your ball a bit to the left side makes it kind of a weak 50-50. So keeping yourself more centered in the ball and then jumping a bit later than you did will help you. So here, you probably should have stopped. Let's see, let me go a little bit further back. So you probably should have stopped boosting for a moment when you went to grab the boost. And then you want to try to keep the ball a bit more on the left side of your car to move it more to the left. Also, you had about 54 boost here, and you kind of stopped when the ball went up. It's important to be really fast in this situation because your opponent, is going to be trying to get back as fast as he can. And if you jumped, you can actually probably pinch this. If you jumped here and tilted your car a bit to the left to keep it flat, and then you aim it a little bit forward, that will just cause the ball to favor going into the net a bit more from that corner. But you do have a nice recovery here, though. So it's something a bit more difficult to do, but in this spot here, when you have a favorable flick up like this, and it's above the goal, your opponent's going to be paying more attention to the ball than they are of you most times. And this is the opportunity you have to actually, if you jump up really quickly here and try to get it as like um, a lower aerial hit into the goal, it will usually work really well for you because the opponent's not going to be paying as much attention to you. They're trying to focus on clearing the ball for the most part. Yeah, see, he just watched the ball and drove into the wall there, proving that he wasn't paying attention to his surroundings. He was just paying attention to the ball. So that was another instance there where you should look back and definitely take the info I mentioned earlier to heart about the kickoffs. So here, to avoid miss hits like this, I definitely recommend that you take a look at some wall hit and wall clear training packs and work on them. I'll include a link to one or two of these in the description of the video for you to give a try. So again, that kickoff goal there can be resolved by working on your kickoffs. This I kind of just want to point out here because I thought it was kind of interesting. Here it appears that you would have had a favorable kickoff, but at least in the replay here, your card just kind of goes through the ball. So I'm not sure if that's due to lag or something like that, but I just thought it was something to point out because I think that generally that would have been an okay kickoff for you. But as it appears in the replay, it looks like your card just went through it for some reason. So yeah, good job here. Well done with the aerial hit and the follow-up. Doing plays such as this will separate you from your fellow players in ranked. Just don't do anything risky with your aerials, and they can really just leave you open if you mess them up. So try to keep that in mind. But good job using that aerial hit and quick follow-up there. Good job. Again, good job for waiting for shots like this. I believe you had something like this earlier in the game. When your opponent gives you space, when you hit the ball up like that, it makes saves from the opponent really difficult. So keep that in mind, and doing stuff like that will really help you to score against people. So something similar happened to you earlier this game as well. Um, you have to be sure not to turn around like this and try to mimic your opponent's movements. You just gotta shadow them to have better defense in spots like this. So to end this review, I want to kind of summarize things a bit. I noticed that a lot of the goals that were scored against you were due to kickoffs. I recommend you to go back and watch that part in the beginning where I mentioned kickoffs. Just keep it in mind during your games. 1v1s is a playlist that's highly dependent on you having a strong kickoff game. Um, Also, I would recommend you to try to, shadow your enemy's movements a bit more than you were in this game, since not doing that effectively also contributed to the goals scored against you. If you feel up for it as well, um, I'd like to give you some wall clear training packs to do in the video description for you to practice with. Um, if you have any questions for me, feel free to private message me on Discord and I'll get right back to you. Thanks and have a good one.